In this tutorial, we'll be making a little tree border that you can use on any project you like. I'm just going to show you how to do the border. This sample I've done in a pretty lightweight mercerized cotton yarn. So you can see it is a very lightweight yarn. It was a little bit too flimsy to do a video with. It was hard to see also because it's green. I wanted to do it in green because it's plant-like, but it's too hard to see against the dark background. So I thought I would do the demo tutorial in this. This is the remnants of a Karen Blossom cake. This is my favorite colorway in Karen Blossom cakes, which is a cotton acrylic blend. And this is the colorway macaw, like the parrot. Are macaws technically parrots? Well, like the bird. So really tropical, really warm colors. I find it works up really nicely, and you get that really nice stitch definition from the cotton acrylic blend. As a base for this border, I have done a few rows of the 5-star Marguerite stitch. And this is one of my favorite stitches to use in blankets or denser projects. If you want to find out how to do this stitch, you can check under my shorts. I did a 1-minute long video showing how to do this stitch. It is so easy. And if you subscribe, I will be doing more simple 1-minute stitch tutorials as shorts. So if you subscribe, they should pop up in your feed, just in your algorithm. For this tutorial, it will be helpful to have a stitch marker, although it's not completely necessary, so it's up to you whether you want to try to use one or not. I tried to do it without a stitch marker and it's doable, but it is a little bit of a fiddly border, so having a stitch marker definitely helps. So the last row that I've done in this 5-star Marguerite is a row of single crochets. So I'm going to start this border with just 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Now we're going to do 9 more single crochets before we start little trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now with that first single crochet you did, you should have 10 single crochets in this row. Now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I like to put my thumb here because this is a slightly fiddly part of the border. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to do a picot stitch. Now what I want to do with the stitch marker here is I'm going to chain 3, place the stitch marker, and then slip stitch into the first of those 3 chains. A picot stitch is when you chain 3 and then slip stitch into the first chain you just made, making kind of a loop, and I want to mark the center of that loop with the stitch markers. So 1, 2, 3. Now before I slip stitch back into that first chain I just made, I'm going to place my stitch marker so I know where the middle of this loop is, because we're going to work into that loop shortly. So I've placed a stitch marker here. Unfortunately, I should have chosen a different color stitch marker because it is orange, like this part of the yarn. But you can see there are 3 chains that I just made, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain to make that loop. So now we should have something that looks like this so far. It is a little bit of a fiddly border, but once you get the hang of it, it is not difficult. It is just a little bit of wrangling with the yarn. Now we're going to be working around this loop, this picot stitch we just made. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to place a double crochet into the center of that picot stitch where you have placed that stitch marker. So you see the picot stitch is quite tight, which is why the stitch marker is helpful. So I hold on to the stitch marker and I'm going to double crochet, pulling that bit apart a little bit into the center of that picot stitch. And I think I've got it. Okay, so that is the first chain space. So that is the first chain space. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to double crochet back into the center of that picot stitch. That is your second chain space. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet back into the center of the picot stitch. That is your third chain space. Chain 2, double crochet back into the center of that picot stitch. That's your fourth chain space, and chain 2 and double crochet back into the center of that picot stitch. We should have 5 chain spaces that we've just made. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work back around these 5 chain spaces to create the little tree. At this point you can take out your stitch marker. It can get in the way a little bit, so we're just going to work back around this way. And to do that, we're going to turn our work. So it looks like this. So now you're on this side. And we're going to work right to left. And what we're going to do, now we're going to work 9 stitches into that first chain space, that first chain 2 space here. The first stitch is a single crochet. The second stitch is a half double crochet. The third stitch is a half double crochet. The fourth stitch is a half double crochet. And the fifth stitch is a half double crochet. Now in between the 5th and 6th stitch, we are going to attach this little tree. We're going to ground it. So we're going to slip stitch it back into this base row that we have. We're going to slip stitch it 4 stitches away from the base of this chain 5. So we're going to go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to slip stitch it into that 4th stitch. And now we're going to carry on working into that chain space as if everything is fine, but we needed to ground that treetop or else it would have gone flying around when we were done. So we're going to keep going with the half double crochets. We're going to place 3 more. So this is the 6th half double crochet, the 7th half double crochet, and the 8th half double crochet, and we're going to finish in this chain space with a single crochet. Now we're going to be doing that in all of the other chain spaces as well, so 4 more chain spaces. We're going to skip over this double crochet from the previous row. We're going to go directly into the next chain space with a single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a single crochet. Find the next chain 2 space, which is right here, right next to it. Going in with a single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finish in that chain space with a single crochet. Find the next chain 2 space, single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and place 1 single crochet to finish off in that chain 2 space. Now find the last chain 2 space in this group. We're going to place a single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finish in this space with a single crochet. Now, this is what we should have so far. You have a very pretty little tree. Now we're going to connect the tree to, I guess, its trunk or to the stem. We're going to place 4 single crochets. So it's easier here for me, I find, to count backwards. We've done 5 chains to start the tree. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go into those last 4 chains and place 1 single crochet in each of those last 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what it should look like so far. Now we're going to anchor that to the project that you ostensibly have below, and we're going to place 11 single crochets into the edge of whichever project you're working into. So whichever is the next one after the last one you worked into in that main row that's attached to the main project, we're going to place 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is what you should have so far. I guess you could just leave the single tree there if you like it this way, but we're going to do 3 together, and with this knowledge you can do whatever you please. Now we're going to repeat what we've done here with the first tree, but we are going to be joining this second tree to the first tree. Again, this is a border, so we don't want these trees just sort of flapping around in the wind. We do want some kind of joining, so I'll show you how to join. So we're going to start this the same way, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now get your stitch marker ready. This is where we are going to do the picot, but we're going to place the stitch marker in the center of the picot before we slip stitch into the first chain. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to place the stitch marker just around the chain, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain of that chain 3. And this marks the center of that picot stitch. If you remember, we're going to work directly into the center of that picot stitch, and so it makes it a little bit easier if you mark it. Now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this chain 5, sorry I didn't mention it before, but it counts as a double crochet. The first 3 chains counts as a double crochet and then a chain 2. And so we're going to turn our work so we can work into this picot a little bit easier. We're going to double crochet into where the stitch marker is. So double crochet, we gotta find the center of this picot stitch, which is why that stitch marker is there. Double crochet. That's your first chain space. Chain 2. Double crochet back into the center of that picot. Chain 2, double crochet back into the center of that picot, chain 2, double crochet back into the center of that picot, chain 2, and double crochet back into the center of that picot for a total of 5 chain spaces. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to remove that stitch marker just because it gets in the way. You can always leave it there if you prefer. And now we're going to work into those chain spaces just like we did in that first tree. And we're going to turn our work to do that. Flip it over. Now where we're going to be joining this second tree, we're going to be joining it in 2 places. We're going to be joining the first arm of the tree. What do we call it? The petal. Let's call it a petal, even though it's a tree. We're going to be joining the first petal into the base here, and we're going to be joining the second petal to the first tree. So let's start. We're going to start in the first chain space the same way that we did in the last tree. So we're going to start with a single crochet, and we're going to do 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to join with a slip stitch 4 stitches behind this base. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to just join with a slip stitch. And now we're going to work back into that chain space. We're going to do 3 more half double crochets and a single crochet. So this is what it looks like after you've joined to that base. Now we're going to start on into the second chain space. We're going to start with a single crochet, 4 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to join this to the first tree, just so it doesn't flop around. We're going to find the middle chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to just go somewhere between 4 and 5. I'm just going to slip stitch into the 5th half double crochet in the first tree, and we're going to place 3 more half double crochets, 1, 2, 3 into the chain space that we were working into, and then 1 single crochet to finish out that chain space. So this is what it looks like after you've joined to the base and then to the first tree. Now we're going to keep going. We have 3 more chain spaces to work into. So the next one is the same, 1 single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 single crochet to finish off that chain space. We're going to find the next chain space, single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 single crochet to finish out that chain space. And then in the last chain space, we're going to do the same thing, single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 single crochet, And then if you remember, we're going to place 4 single crochets into this original chain 5 that we used to start this tree. And we're going to count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to anchor it back into the project with 11 single crochets into the border. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is what you should have after 2 border trees. Let's do one more border tree together. Obviously, this project is only this long. You can obviously keep going for as long as you like. To start, again, we chain 5. Now get your stitch marker ready. We're going to chain 3. Place your stitch marker around the chain before you slip stitch into that first chain you made, just so we can mark the center of this picot stitch. Now we're going to loop around and slip stitch into the first of that chain 3 that you just made. And we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to, I find it a bit easier to turn my work here. Now we're going to work a double crochet into the center of that picot stitch where your stitch marker is. So double crochet. That's your first chain 2 space. Then we're going to chain 2, double crochet into the center of that picot stitch again. That's your second chain 2 space. Chain 2, double crochet back into the center of the picot stitch. Chain 2, double crochet into the center of that picot stitch. Chain 2, and double crochet back into the center of that picot stitch again. And that should be 5 chain 2 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go ahead and remove that stitch marker now. And we're going to work into those chain 2 spaces, but going the other way. So let's turn our work. And again, we are going to be joining the first petal to the base where your project is, and we're going to join the second petal to the previous tree. So we're going to start with 1 single crochet in that first chain space, 4 half double crochets, now we're going to slip stitch 4 stitches before the original chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just going to slip stitch in there just so we join this little tree. We anchor it down so it doesn't fly away. We're going to go back into the chain space with three more half double crochets and a single crochet. Find the next chain 2 space, single crochet, 4 half double crochets, we're going to slip stitch into the middle half double crochet, either the 4th or the 5th one of the previous little tree. We're going to keep on working into that chain space that we're working in with 3 more half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, a single crochet, and now we're going to keep on going around in the last 3 chain spaces. So single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 single crochet. Next chain space, single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 single crochet, and the last chain space, single crochet, 7 half double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a single crochet. Now we're going to anchor the treetop to the trunk with 4 single crochets, and we're going to count backwards. It's kind of, sometimes it's hard to see that first chain that you've done, so we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. So for 4th from the bottom, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each chain going down. 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to anchor the entire thing by single crocheting back into your project, and I have 3 stitches left, so I'm just going to do those 3. We're going to fasten off and take a look at what we've done. So this is what the border looks like, and of course you can keep on going as long as you like. It is super cute, super pretty, such a nice detail, and even though it's a little bit fiddly, it is not really difficult. It just takes a little bit of practice, and then it'll be second nature. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.